You know, when we think about hacking, we usually picture some shadowy figure typing away like crazy, trying to break through a digital wall. But what if I told you the easiest way into a super secure system isn't through the code at all? What if it's through us, the people who use it? And this quote, it absolutely nails it. See, the most effective attacks today don't bother with complex code. They target our psychology. This whole strategy is called social engineering, and it works by exploiting one simple truth. Under the right kind of pressure, anyone can be tricked.
So what is it, really? Well, think of social engineering as the art of manipulation. It's not about finding a glitch in the software. It's about finding a glitch in our own thinking, using things like trust, curiosity, or even fear to get us to hand over the keys to the kingdom. And when you boil it all down, almost every single one of these attacks pulls on one of two incredibly powerful emotional levers. First, there's greed, that desire to get something. And on the flip side, there's fear, that powerful motivation to avoid losing something. Let's take a look at how attackers use these in the real world.
First up, we've got an attack that plays right into our sense of greed. This is probably one of the most common ways hackers steal our login info, and trust me, it's gotten way more sophisticated than the old spam emails you're used to seeing.
So here's how it works. This isn't random. The attacker starts by doing their homework. They'll check out your LinkedIn or Facebook, figuring out your job, where you work, maybe they even see you complaining about your old work laptop. Then, they craft the perfect bait, an email that looks like it's from IT, telling you you're finally getting that upgrade you wanted. All you have to do is click a link to confirm. But that link, that's the trap. They use a trick called typo squatting, with a tiny misspelling in the website address that's easy to miss. You land on a page that looks totally legit, you pop in your username and password, and that's it. They've got your credentials.
It's kind of scary how simple that is, right? And it's incredibly effective. So that brings up the big question. How in the world do you stop an attack that's designed just for you?
Well, there are a few layers of defense you can use. On the tech side of things, a secure DNS service can act like a bouncer for the internet, automatically blocking you from ever even getting to those shady websites. But honestly, the most powerful tools are human. First, just knowing that scams like this exist makes you so much harder to fool. And second, critical thinking. Just pause for a second, hover your mouse over the link, double-check the sender's email. That little moment of doubt is your best firewall.
Okay, let's move on. So what happens if greed isn't the right button to push? Well, an attacker will just flip the script and go for something that's honestly even more powerful: fear. This next attack isn't about getting your password. It's about taking over your entire computer. And here's the secret sauce. They combine that fear with a huge sense of urgency. When we're scared and we're told we have to act right now, our rational brain just shuts off. We stop thinking and we start reacting, and that's exactly where they want us.
So picture this. Your phone rings, out of the blue. The person on the line says they're from a big tech company and they have some really bad news. They say your computer is infected with a dangerous virus, and if you don't fix it immediately, you're going to lose all your files. The panic starts to set in. They walk you through downloading their special disinfection tool. But that tool, it's actually something called a remote access Trojan, or a RAT. The second you install it, you've basically just handed over the keys to your entire digital life. They have total control. That's a terrifying thought, isn't it? It feels so much more personal than an email, because they're on the phone with you, using the name of a company you trust. So what can you do? How do you defend against that?
Again, that secure DNS can help by blocking the malicious download. But the most important defense here is knowledge. You need to burn this into your brain. Microsoft, Apple, Google, they will never, ever call you out of the blue about a virus on your computer. It just doesn't happen. So if you get a call like this, there is only one right answer. Hang up immediately. All right, for our last example, we're jumping into the deep end. This is where cutting-edge tech makes these attacks unbelievably convincing. We're not talking about just a password anymore. We're talking about stealing major company secrets.
This is where things get wild. An attacker does their homework and finds out an executive is away at a conference. Then they find a video of that person speaking online, maybe a keynote or an interview. They feed that audio into an AI, which creates a perfect, realistic clone of their voice. The attacker then uses that cloned voice to leave a panicked voicemail for the executive's assistant. It sounds exactly like their boss, in a total crisis, saying they've lost their phone and need critical, confidential files sent to a personal email address right away to save a huge deal and maybe both of their jobs. And look, if you're thinking, no way, that's something out of a movie, you need to know this isn't theoretical. This exact technique has already been used. A bank was tricked into transferring $35 million. This threat is very, very real.
So, wow, that brings up a really tough question. When your own senses can be tricked this well, when you literally can't trust what you hear with your own ears, how do you possibly defend yourself?
Even against an attack this advanced, the solution comes back to being human. First, just knowing this tech exists is a huge step. But second, and this is the absolute most important thing, you have to verify through another channel. You get a frantic voicemail? Hang up and call the person back on the number you already have for them. And finally, stick to the rules. If your company has a policy that says never send confidential files to a personal email, there are no exceptions. Not for anyone.
So, after looking at these three scenarios, the sneaky email, the scary phone call, and the AI deepfake, you start to see a clear pattern, right? The attacks get more advanced, but the target and the best way to defend it stays exactly the same.
This quote really just says it all. You can't just install a piece of software that makes you immune to being manipulated. The firewall we need isn't digital, it has to be mental, and it's something we all have to build for ourselves.
So, what are the big takeaways here? First, remember that social engineering attacks are minds, not our machines. They work by turning our own emotions, like greed, fear, and urgency, against us. Tech can help, for sure, but your number one defense will always be your own awareness. That simple act of stopping, thinking, and verifying before you act, that is the most powerful shield you've got.
Because here's the thing, these attacks aren't going anywhere. In fact, they're only getting smarter and more convincing. So the real question isn't if you'll be targeted, it's when.